Discord. Usually I said we're good, and on 48 episodes or whatever we're up to now, you always hear we're good. So I'm gonna have to say something different this time, like, hey, I got it to work or something.
All right, here we go. Process, preparation, and performance. I'm Duke. He's Simmons. We have Coach Howser here tonight. JR, we are getting into the spring season. We got some baseball going on. You and I both love baseball. You're writing a book about baseball, which is pretty awesome. Due out here pretty soon and sometime later this month. But we're closing in on episode number 50. A couple of housekeeping things real quick, JR. Our clinic is February 17th here at Tipton. $20 a person to cover lunch. I promise you, if it's not the best lunch you've had at a clinic, we'll give you your money back. Great speakers. It's one of those clinics, JR, where you don't just hear coach speak for a few hours. I mean, if you ask a question, people will tell you the how and the why behind what they do. So look forward to seeing you there. Space is limited. We're not letting a whole lot of people, and we're kind of keeping it small so that you can get everything you need out of it. But JR, your favorite sport. We got a baseball guy on the show now. Tell us what's up.
It's I was gonna say the only problem with the clinic is football. And that's going to endear me to every single listener on this podcast that I just said that. But when you mentioned we're getting close to spring, this is no offense to the basketball teams, the rest I'm done with being in the gym. Like I'm tired of supervising in the gym, and then it's 70 degrees a day. And I just want to get outside. It's time for spring sports and to get out there and start working on all those. So we are very lucky today. We have the head coach of the Kickapoo Chiefs, Jason Howser, who has assured us that he is very entertaining. Coach Thomas told us he was very entertaining, and he's shaking his head right now. But Coach, thank you so much for coming on, and welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
And we had talked, Coach Duke and I were talking about how having a baseball person on, I really like it because I coached for years at Jeff City and had I guess I could say a cameo at Southern Boone. That's a whole other story. But, with the other friend I got. But you also coach softball.
Correct.
And I have gotten to where, being in assistant AD world now, I almost like watching softball better. It's probably not I'd say popular to say that maybe with all my baseball peers, but it's faster paced. You got to make split second decisions because the distances are so reduced. And coaching girls is way different. I did powder puff for 3 years. That thoroughly changed my life with having to deal with girls out there. It's just a totally different situation. What do you see as the biggest difference between the two?
Well, first of all, I'd never coached girls prior to accepting the head coaching position here at Kickapoo. And in the time of my life, I have a daughter. She's now a sophomore in high school. And I got a phone call. I was actually coaching a summer game in Memphis, Tennessee, from our athletic director. It was the last weekend tournament of the summer. And no offense, but when your AD calls you that late in the year and you thinking you're going to have fall off, I answered the phone in the dugout and I was like, this can't be good. And he said, hey, our softball coach just resigned and practice starts in like 2 weeks. And we had our 12 had just funded for a brand new facility because we did not have a facility on site. And so our girls were traveling over to Metter, which is a park about 10 minutes from the high school every day to practice. And the field was going to be released, and they had 2 weeks to find a softball coach. And of course, all teaching positions were already taken. So he said, well, how do you feel about coaching softball? And I said, well, let me talk to my wife. And so after the tournament, I got a hold of my wife and I was like, what do you think of me? Because I'm not the easiest guy to be around in the dugout for boys. And my tone was probably more geared towards that in my coaching career. But, we had a talk and she said something that really kind of impacted me. And she said, well, you have a daughter. And if this can help you be a better dad to your daughter, then why wouldn't you do it? And that is like the light kind of came on. And I was like, all right, I can do this. I mean, I can't be that bad at it. And honestly, since I've started 10 years in, and I absolutely love coaching fast pitch softball. The girls are totally different than the boys. I would agree 100%. Um, and but I enjoy the change from the guys from spring to summer into the young ladies on the other end of it as well. And R12 has done a great job of supporting softball, and we've gotten really good assistant coaches in. Chelsea Turner, who is a Division One pitcher at Missouri State, is my assistant there. And then we picked up another coach that was an all-stater from Lee Summit West, Coach G. And then over time, I convinced our catching coach, our catching coordinator for baseball, Lance Jarman. He is now our fourth coach there, and he works exclusively with the catchers and a lot of the hitting as well. And he was kind of, like me. I don't know about this. I don't know if I'm geared for this. And I said, you'll love it. I mean, you'll absolutely love it. And as I told the guys, and I tell the guys in the springtime this, I said, the difference really that I see is the difference between boys and girls is if you say, okay, we got a 2-hour practice, and for 2 hours, we're going to try to run through that brick wall. They'll be like, okay, let's get organized. Who's going to run first? I'll run first. I'll run second. And they'll just keep running into it. And if you tell them now you got to lower your shoulder a little bit more, then they'll do it. But if you tell guys, they're like, well, my hitting coach doesn't want me to run through that brick wall. My pitching coach doesn't want me to run through that brick wall. I mean, it's just 100% buy-in, my experience. And it's really a pleasure to coach those girls. Not that I don't have we have fantastic kids at Kickapoo. We really do. I'm extremely blessed to be where I'm at and coach the boys and the girls. But the willingness of the girls to bring everybody in and inclusive, and even the girls that have never played softball before, they're their best friends by the end of the first week. Just all welcoming. And for me, I'd really never kind of seen that aspect. And I really enjoy it. I really do.
I've had the opportunity to actually coach a young lady in baseball. She started off playing baseball and then ended up going on to play softball. And I have to ask, because this comes up from time to time, we hear it between the girls and the guys. Every boy who plays high school baseball is like, man, I would just hit bombs off of you, and I'm like, they're a lot closer and the ball comes in a lot different. So,
Yeah.
Coach, do you ever let the girls just take one of those baseball guys, put them in the box, and make them regret it?
No, honestly, we thought about having a fundraiser in the fall and advertising to the school and saying, hey, come on out, fundraiser for the softball girls. You get 5 pitches. And we've got 2 really good pitchers. And the guys, I mean, I think the respect is there. But I think the challenge would be immediate. And if you've ever played fast pitch softball, you know it. I mean, it's by you, it's rising, it's a change up, it's moving. And if a girl can spin it, it doesn't really matter how hard she throws it either, if she can spin it and hit locations. And it would be a challenge, that's for sure, as well.
I got to coach 24 hours of girls softball at Jeff City during the COVID situation, because one of our coaches, it's Coach Lasley, who's our head baseball coach now.
Yeah.
He got COVID, and Coach Miller said, "What do you think?" I go, "Let's do it." And Kara Daly, if anybody doesn't know who she is, look her up. She plays up at Mizzou. Hit a ball harder and farther than I've ever seen a high school girl ever hit a ball in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it might have went out of our baseball field. And
Yeah,
it was go ahead.
Softball's changed. I mean, power is the name in every game now, baseball and softball. And you see a lot more of that for girls coming in, that they're trying to not just make contact, they're trying to drive the ball. They're trying to score a run with one swing. And we've had some girls that can do that. But we've also had some girls that can just run like the wind. So a nice mixture of it is really, really nice. And if I had to choose to build my lineup, I'd like a little bit of both.
It seems to me with softball, which is different than baseball, especially with the current like playoff situation that we got. If you got one arm, you're in every game. In baseball, you really got to have 2, and it's helpful if you got 3, especially class 5, class 6 level. But I watch those girls, and they'll pitch a game, and then another game, and then another game, and then another game. And it's just different. Quick funny story with that whole 24 hours. I was standing on first base coaching in the first district game, and this parent, I can't remember who we were playing, somebody from Lee Summit, And they said, Coach, how tall is your shortstop? And they were talking about Karen. I said, well, she's about eye to eye with me, and I'm 6'1". He goes, man, he goes, how long you been coaching softball? And I looked at my watch, at 23 hours. He's like, are you serious? And I thought, well, there's a little bit of a story behind this there, but
Did you
it seems, go ahead.
did you win?
We won the first game, the game I coached the night before, and then we lost the first round of the district game, which it sucked for me because the girls kind of figured out, okay, I kind of do a little bit know what I'm talking about. I can help you a little, which I think you kind of alluded to that with girls. I think once they trust you and they think you know what you're talking about, you're going to get that run through the brick wall
Yeah.
situation. And the night before we played Troy and beat them, and then we just come up a little bit short there against whoever was one of the Lee Summit schools. But we were told to ask you, according to Coach Thomas, about maybe a homeless guy on your dugout or something about a golf cart on the mound. But I told Coach Duke, I said, in the interest of decorum
Yes.
and keeping the peace and me not trying to start an international incident about 2 hours down the road in Springfield, I will ask you this question. So
I appreciate that.
rival baseball coaches. Up here at Jeff City, I don't know if they'll have to listen to the podcast, but Chris Wyrick at Elias, we're pretty big rivals with him. I love Chris to death. Justin Talley for Rockbridge, we had a hard time beating him forever. Love Justin to death. It seems to me, because I've coached both football and baseball coaches who are rivals tend to get along a little better, willing to help each other, somewhat be friends than rival football coaches or other coaches. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think your assessment is right on. We've got a lot of good high school baseball coaches down here. Now this is my 26th year of teaching. I was 9 years an assistant under Mike Essick at Ozark, who won 2 state championships. He's a Hall of Famer. So I learned a lot under him, but there was a lot of good coaches in the area when I was an assistant coach, and just being able to be around him and watch him, how he handled all the coaches with the utmost respect. It doesn't matter if they'd ever won or didn't win. I thought that was, I took away from that. And I think you're right. I think high school, at least from my experience, high school baseball coaches have been more willing to have conversations. And we've got, like I said, 9 years an assistant, 20 years up here at Kickapoo, and I've had the opportunity to see a lot of the good coaches like Coach Hagler and Coach Stratton, and they've retired, and then there's other coaches, and then move into maybe some more of the new coaches like Scott McGee at Willard, who ironically I coached in high school, Casey Little over at Rogersville, and Logan Hughes down in Nixa. Just getting to know those guys, everybody's pretty. There's no real egos. It doesn't matter if you win or lose, and maybe that's the nature of our game. In that, if you win at a 550, 600 clip in baseball, you're probably a Hall of Famer. I mean, you don't win every game because, as you alluded to, you're not going to always have your number one, your number two, or even your number three on the mound, especially when you're playing 36 games in 2.5 months. I mean, it is the longest, shortest season you will ever see, and you're going to have depth, and the matchups will dictate a lot of things. And so I think it keeps the humility down as well, in general. And so I think guys are more willing to talk and share. And honestly, down here in Southwest Missouri, at least I get along with everybody. Yes, when we get between the lines, everybody's trying to do their best to put their team in a situation to win, which you should do. But after the game, before the game, we all realize that we're part of maybe a little bit bigger picture, which is baseball in the state of Missouri.
JR is right. A lot of football coaches have a list of other coaches that you'd like to put on the schedule whenever you can. Coach, that's incredible. Coaching on both sides of it. One of the reasons why I liked my wife is she played college softball. One day she was like, "Hey, you want to go play catch?" And I was like, "All right, let's see what this is like." And the ball hit my glove, and I was like, "Yes, you're the one. Perfect." But in your time coaching, and I want you to tell us a little bit about your kids and your team this coming year, but in your time coaching, what have you seen been the top one or two things that's really just kind of changed the way not just you approach the game, but your team, the mindset, all that stuff as it was 20 years ago?
I think there's a better need for communication. And when I came out, I played college baseball, played for Gary Rourke at Crowder, and then went up to UCM, which was CMSU at the time. Played for Dennis Woody my junior year, and then he left to take the cross-checking job for the Kansas City Royals at Christmas. And they brought in a guy from Texarkana Junior College, and his name was Dave Van Horn, and who's now at the University of Arkansas. And just learning, honestly, college-wise, through their communication. When I got into the high school, I was fresh out of that mindset and intensity. And I tried somewhat successful to bring that to the high school level, but I was probably overcooking it, for lack of a better phrase, most of the time. I think that the kids respected me, but I needed to learn how to be a more effective communicator, me. And so what I found, and I'm not the best coach in the world, but what I've really tried to work on is a more clear, effective communication, and pick your times to be maybe a little bit more firm than every time being firm on the other end of it. And I think once you build those relationships with the kids, which we're able to do, they'll respect that. And when you get that respect, then they'll run through that brick wall for you at the end of the day as well. And hey, let's not forget, if you've got some talent, you're always, I mean, that's always a help at the end of the day. And we've been blessed to have some talented players here.
I got to laughing to myself here when you're kind of talking a little bit about, you need the one and the two. There'd be some coaches that come out to the flip. Well, my one's an ISS. My two's mom just took him to this. Three got arrested. Four, it's like, well, who are you pitching today, man?
Yes.
Like, just throw somebody out there and we'll just
Yeah.
figure all this mess out. But I think you're very perceptive when I believe talking about you just learn how to manage kids.
Yeah.
And I think it's an age thing. I think back when I first started, I think everybody's got an idea of what it should look like. But then over times, I think you figure out how to just work with the kids that you've got. And
For
they
sure.
all need your help. I've made a statement a lot, just because you got the title coach don't mean you're a good one.
Yes.
You've got to figure out how to get the kids that are on that team specifically to play at the highest level they can. And some of them will surprise you. And the talent, the overarching factor there, if you got two dudes throwing 90 plus, you're going to look like a genius.
Yeah. Send them, if you got those, send them my way. Yeah, no, I agree. And there's so much more with it. I mean, I can remember when my first year at Kickapoo, and we were the largest classification at the time. I had a pitching coach that wasn't even in the building, and we had to find a third coach. And so now it's evolved. Sports has evolved. I mean, sports is a pillar of our society, and it's evolved all the way down. And so now there's more of an emphasis put on it. But I think they also realize the correlation between when kids are involved, whether it be sports or activities, they're more likely to stay out of trouble, get good grades. They have a reason to come to school. They have a reason to say no on Friday night when someone offers them something. And so we've been extremely blessed with being able to find good young coaches and older coaches that will pour into these kids. And as I tell my parents at every meeting at the beginning of the year, if all you ever get out of this is your kids are around the people that are coaching in our program, consider yourself blessed, because I see the trappings that every day in the hallways of kids that don't have that. So I think the relationship and communication is great, but you also have to have, it takes a village. I heard someone say once, but you got to have that good support system is around. And I've been very fortunate to be able to have the support from the school district to be able to hire coaches from the booster club, to hire summer coaches, and just really good individuals, whether that be softball or baseball. Very, very blessed.
That's cool, Coach. I agree with you. Communication and knowing when to maybe be a little bit more harsh than others, and when to love somebody up, whether that's tough love or put your arm
Yeah,
around people can go both ways, right? So
correct.
that sounds pretty awesome, Coach. We are going to get into our speed round. 7 innings, 7 questions. Might hit extras. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But these are just crazy questions that we come up with. You get a chance to answer. Gives your players, your parents, your family, your school to learn a little bit more about you. I promise you, there won't be any golf cart on the mound questions or what happened. Lunch
Or
table there.
homeless people on top of the dugout. I
It's
appreciate
funny.
that.
It was Coach Thomas after we got off here. I said, "All right, what can we ask him?" He's, "Oh man, you got to get him on these two." And,
Now wait a minute. He had his own homeless guy living up in the high jump pit that he didn't bother to tell you about as well.
No, he
Oh
didn't.
yeah, yeah. Now that's not very common around our area. The young man that was on top of my dugout, it was a one-time thing. And me and Billy Buckley, the wrestling coach, went out there because he came in. He said, "There's a sleeping bag on top of your first base dugout," and we went out there, and it was cold. It was in the winter, and it was cold. And I didn't know really what to do. So we started banging on the dugout, and the guy had zipped himself all the way up in it. And he was a young man from Europe that was adopted by the Amish and didn't want to live in that
wow,
life. So they had kicked him out, and he had a sleeping bag. And he said, "I'm just trying to stay off of the ground." And he hopped down from the dugout, grabbed a sleeping bag, and away he went on the other end of it. So it doesn't happen very often, but that was something to talk about around the lunch table that day for sure.
seems like everybody's got like one or two really just one-off
Yeah.
stories that are either a bizarre or too bizarre, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
like Bill and I have talked, there's so many stories of football coaches like there's you always got a press box story.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like something has happened in the press box. I think like baseball trips when we took the kids down to Florida or Atlanta, or there was always something. I'll never
Sure.
forget one bus driver. I thought
Yeah.
I could probably drive the bus earlier or better, but yeah, there's always something. What an incredible story, though. It's just you just never know.
All right, JR. I don't know what theme music you're going to attach to this, but are you ready for 7 innings?
I'm ready to roll.
All right, Coach. Are you ready?
Yes. Yes. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Inning number 1: cheeseburger or steak? What are you ordering?
Steak. Steak.
Number 2, American or European cars?
American.
Inning number 3, we're flying, JR. He's winning. One field that you want to play a game at before it's over.
Oh, does it matter if it's professional or collegiate or high school?
Doesn't matter.
No. I mean, I would say Yankee Stadium, but I can't stand pinstripes, so I'm going to go with Bush.
Bush, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, have you ever been to a hockey game?
I have not.
Oh man, JR.
I would like to, but I've never gone.
It's fun. It is so
Yes.
much fun.
Inning number 5. Music, yes or no at practice, and what kind is it?
Yes, music at practice, and that's a relatively new thing for us. But I've watched other coaches implement it, and the things that I've kind of read about it. And then I always thought about my college days, and like when we were taking BP, and there was always music on it. It just always kind of picked up the mood a little bit. So yeah, we'll play it, but you know, you got to be careful with a little bit with music. Like Coach Jarman, he'll have his tunes that he spins, and they're a little bit southern country or country, southern rock, something like that. Coach Sweet will put on something a little bit more modern because he's younger. So we'll mix it up a little bit. I've even toyed with the idea, as long as it's clean, letting the kids put together something on the other end of it. But man, I can't understand half of what they're saying, so I don't know if it's clean or not most of the time.
That's the key. The DJ is the key to that
Yes.
entire one right there. So I've asked this question since we kind of started a 2-minute drill with the football coaches and now 7 innings that we're going to do with baseball coaches that come on here. This is my last one. If you had to pull off a heist at a museum, what 3 people are you taking with you, and why are you taking them with you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll take my daughter, first of all, because her smile can probably get away with just about anything. I'll take my son because he's cautiously smart on the other end of it. And then I'll probably take arguably the greatest man I've ever known, which is my father. And that's just because if I'm going to try something, he might as well be with me.
There
That's
you go.
perfect.
Perfect. All right, coach. Inning number 7. You might have to go into extras. I don't know. This is for your baseball players and for the lunch table there at Kickapoo. You may not want to answer. What's your hidden talent?
Mine?
Yep.
I don't know that I don't know that I have a hidden talent. And you've stumped me. Um, I, I would I would like to think that I'm a pretty good hunter. And so I don't know that a lot of those guys around the lunch table hunt. I know Nate claims to be a hunter, but I haven't seen any meat on the table ever from that dude. Buckley claims to be a hunter. I don't know about him. Sweet, he had to go back and get more ammunition the last time he went, so I doubt that's the case. So I'm going to go with that.
He's the guy when you say, "What'd you kill?" and he goes, "We took 3 boxes of shells."
Exactly. It sounded like the World War III broke out over there. No, I didn't see anything. Didn't see anything.
That's fantastic. So, Coach, thanks for participating in that round. And what Bill and I
Yeah.
started doing is anybody who gets through the round and whatnot, they get a chance to ask us 1, 2 questions, anything they want off the top of their head. So, if you
Okay.
got something on top of your head, help yourself, and we will answer it.
Okay. So I think JR is writing the book on baseball. What's the subject matter? What are we writing on?
So the book I've got coming out, which I better get my butt in gear. I've got to put this manuscript in 18 days. It's how to dominate the bunt game defensively. Because I think the system that we came up with at JC, me, Brian Ash, Brett Skinner, and Laz, and some of these guys, it is very good. And Brian and I have always talked about sitting down and putting this on paper and get what Bill calls mailbox money. And so it's in my brain, and I've got a few chapters written. It's very hard to write a book. I've learned once just getting through an introduction is something else. But now that I'm into the nuts and bolts of it, of how we did it, I'm willing to sort of give away most of the story. Probably keep a couple things back just in case someday I got to go back and do it. But I tell you what, I'll send you a complimentary copy. I'll
I'd
even
love
sign it.
I'd love it. That would be awesome. Thank you.
We'll get your recommendation on the next novel. That'll probably take me forever, but it's in my head. And a lot of the clinics we went to. I mean, we just had the one up here in Jeff City, not too long ago, and I listened to all these people talk. I'm like, you know what you're talking about? Like, this is how you do this. This stuff ain't rocket science, man. Like, and it'll be fun.
Yeah, it sounds like that's intriguing. I'm good for you that you're going to put it down on paper. And then Duke,
who do you guys
football. I'm sorry.
Who do you jamboree with?
Okay, so we open up our jamboree is March 9th, which is Saturday, and we just got a turf infield, so we're going to host it. And we've got Willard and Aurora coming over for our jamboree. And then opening weekend, we've got a 4-game set down in Memphis that we're taking the varsity down for on the other end of it. And that's at the backside of our spring break. So going to be in there's a tournament. It's Lewis and I believe it's not Lewis and Clark. That's my teaching, but it's I can't recall the name, but just to actually look for it. Saw it this summer. Called the coach, and he was just as good as gold. Talked to me like he'd known me forever. And we ended up getting 2 games on Friday down at US Ballpark there, and then going over to Bartlett High School and playing 2 games on Saturday. But he was so nice. He was like, "Yeah, you want to come down on Thursday? You can work out in our indoor facility." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we're on spring break anyhow. So I think our guys are going to look forward to that. And I think it's always good if you can get out of town that opening weekend to face some new competition. So we're going to see teams from Illinois, Tennessee in that opening weekend, which I think our kids are pretty excited about.
So during the jamboree, if Scott McGee tries to steal home when your pitcher comes set, you need to walk out of that dugout and go, JR said to knock this crap off. It is
Yeah.
March, whatever, and we can't be
Yeah.
doing this right now.
You know what? Kudos to him because he always tries to find an angle. Great young, not young anymore. I mean, he's a great coach, and you've got to prepare. And I
Yep.
think that's the sign of good coaches is when you have to prepare for what they do. We've
Yep.
played them so often that I think our kids kind of have an idea of what's going on the other end of it. And that's another healthy rivalry between coaches as well as players on the other end of it as well. So yeah, I got him, and then Aurora, which is James Hoffman, who's won two
Yeah.
state championships at the Class 3 level, and he'll bring his team over. And what a good dude he is! And he just squeezes every ounce out of his kids every year to make them really good baseball players.
That's great. That's great. I can't wait to look and check the schedule there, Coach, and see how you guys did that opening weekend and follow you along here. JR taught me because we had Coach McGee on the podcast.
We did.
And it was the Willard way. I remember his hat with the big W on it. And he got out there talking about, we start teaching this when they can barely hold a glove and a bat. You're going to steal home, baby. That's what he was talking about. So
yeah, he's got a real good program built out there. He's done a really good job.
Well, just beat him, Coach.
We'll do it if we can. We will. I promise you that.
JR, it's baseball, man. It's baseball season. We got to get some more baseball coaches on here.
We do. It breaks up the monotony a little bit. So there's only so many ways you can run the football or throw it. But
Stop it.
So Duke, my question to you.
Yeah.
How long have you been coaching football?
This is year 25.
Oh, okay.
I started off in Chicago coaching middle school football while I was going to med school, and continued coaching football. Had a couple of years where I wasn't directly on the field, but this is year 25 for me.
Awesome. Well,
I think I'm the oldest guy on this Zoom. So
we're like a year apart, man. What are you talking? What are you talking? So, Coach,
man, this is awesome. I love this.
Coach Duke always says the oldest game ever invented is tag.
Yep.
And on this podcast, what we've done since probably about episode 15 or so is any guest that we have on, we allow them to tag the next guest. And it has to be somebody that you know, somebody that we can get a hold of that might look at their phone like I texted you and said, who is this fool and what is going on here? So you could tag Joe Torre or somebody, but we got to be able to get a hold of this guy. Or you can tag Aaron Judge, any other Yankees you like, you know.
Easy. So let me ask you this. Does it have to be baseball then? Are you wanting to stay with that?
Whatever you want.
So I've already, because Nate let the cat out of the bag, and then of course, I told all those coaches at Kickapoo, I said, you're the next one. They're like, oh, no, I'm not good on a podcast. But we've got I think one of the best coaches in the state of Missouri that coaches cross country here, and his name is Jeremy Goddard.
Okay.
And his program is unbelievably successful. And he outworks just about everybody I know. And his preparation for the season, his passion for his kids is unbelievable. So if you want to go cross country, we can go with him as far as that goes. And I told him today, and he said, I can't. I mean, you think Nate's a little bit backwards, and I am. Wait till you get Jeremy on here. You might have to go 2 hours to get him to stop talking on the other end of it. But I'm telling you, they won the state championship in cross country, was it 2 years ago? And I believe they won it on Saturday. And his kids were in on Monday running at 6 a.m. again. Like, I mean, and I'm like, not even a week off. And he goes, we're runners. That's what we do. And he's so into the process with these kids that when they buy in, he's got a lot of talent, but when they buy in, it's really impressive to watch their work ethic. Not that, I could go to our basketball coach, Mitch McHenry. I've got 3 or 4 guys on my coaching staff, in my opinion, that are wonderful coaches, but with cross country season or track season coming up, I guess, and he's also the head track coach, that might be a good, deviation from what you're doing. If you're up to it.
Absolutely. I have one experience with cross country because we host this big Jim Marshall cross country invite up here over at our course across town in Jeff City. And I ended up in the catch tunnel. And I was given a real quick, brief explanation. Do not touch the kids. They can crawl to the line. Put these gloves on, and they're probably going to pass out. And I remember looking at our AD at the time. And I said, "Is this legal?" Like, so
Yeah.
it will be. This is going to be interesting. I've definitely got some questions for Coach
Yeah.
Goddard, so that's gonna work out perfect. That'll
Awesome.
work perfect.
Oh man. You know what, JR? At least once a week, I'm laughing like crazy every time we do this. Laughter is like the best medicine, man. I love this.
It's
So,
like
Coach,
we've always talked off air. One of these days, we just need to start a podcast called Tag. And I'm
yeah,
going to go down here to break time and I'm going to ask some guy what his name is. And he's going to say it's like Bob or something. And we're going to throw Bob on here. And then he's going to tag
right.
somebody and he's going to tag somebody and he's going to tag somebody. It would be probably the most insightful podcast with
Yeah.
skills that people have that you
For
just wouldn't
sure.
even know. And
Yeah.
who knows where it would go? I mean, who knows where it would go?
Good and
So
bad. Who knows where it would go?
that's a fact. It's like this is Stockport County Prison. Will you accept a collect Zoom call from? What are we doing around here? So who knows?
JR, I do have a field trip idea before we let Coach Howser go. So if you
Okay.
could talk about it tomorrow at school. I want to do a podcast live from this lunch table down there at Kickapoo.
Oh, dude, I tell you what, let's do it. Like I will take
I-
the day off. We'll come down. I just actually emailed your AD today on something that I was looking to get our golf team in. So we'll get it approved with him, and we're gonna do it.
well,
It would be miraculous.
I don't know how it is at any other school, because coming from 6 years at Ozark and then up and at Ozark, it was everybody sit around the same table and kind of got after it. But here, as our AD Scott Phillips said one time, man, the more you win, the more that they just try to blow you up. So I mean, I mean, we've got our head basketball coach, we've got our defensive coordinator for football, DJ Peterson, we've got Lance Jarman, we've got Billy Buckley, who is our head wrestling coach, we got Jason Sweet, who's our strength and conditioning coach, and then we'll have drop-ins as well, almost kind of like guest visitors, and we just take that 30 minutes to just ride one another. And it really is. I think when I retire, I might miss that more than just about anything on the other end. Of course, Nate's there and he's telling lies is what he's doing most of the time anyhow. So, but it's really a lot of fun is what it is.
Yeah, we're doing
What I've
it.
noticed with him on and you on, you can tell everybody down there, everybody supports each other. Everybody's
Yes.
all in for each other. And then
Yes.
everybody just likes to aggravate each other.
Yes.
Because if
Yes.
you can't have fun, to me, this ain't worth doing. I mean, that's
Agreed.
why we love this podcast. We just meet such interesting people, and you just never know what's going to come out of their mouth, from rodeo clowns and people running naked in the desert to who knows what else we've heard on here. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just interesting.
Yeah. Well, you're right. It's short and we don't get paid that much. So let's have fun while we're doing it.
Absolutely. Pulling the rope in the same direction down there at Kickapoo.
Yeah.
That's
For
pretty
sure.
Lunch table. We're going to get this
Yes.
done before state track. We're going to do it. Or everybody come up to state track. I'll give you some priority parking and we'll do a live broadcast from the parking lot. And I always talk about it. People can experience what I go through. It's the greatest thing on earth.
There we
Greatest
go.
thing.
Oh man, Coach Howser, we really appreciate it. Thank you for taking time out of your night. I hope the baseball season is a productive one for you all, and get after it. Get some hardware at the end of this thing, Coach. And if there's anything we could do for you, you let us know. JR, baseball guys are cool, man. Baseball
We're
guys
pretty
are
good. We're not bad people to hang around.
No, we're all right.
We're
We're
not
all right.
bad.
Guys, thank you. Appreciate it. The
You're
opportunity
welcome.
and what you're doing for all the coaches in not only our area, but all over the state. I think it's awesome.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes.
For JR Simmons and me, Coach Duke, this has been Process Preparation and Performance. God bless. Have a great night, folks.